Teresa, can you hear me okay? Okay, great. So we are sitting here in one of my favorite people in all the world. His name's Brock Coyle, and I'll get into the deal, but we're in his living room. And you would think, oh my God, Jeff, you got to help Brock buy a house. We didn't have that opportunity. Can you believe that? But I'm still friends with him. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Guys, Jeff Redevere, Vice President of Business Development for Coldwell Banker. Thank you so much for being here. I am sitting next to arguably one of my favorite people in all the world. His name is Brock Coyle. I've known Brock now for 15 years. I met him when he was a sophomore in high school. I coached Brock for, 3 seasons at the high school. It was really funny. Regardless, we won't get into details. We ran the same play the beginning of every game, regardless of who we were playing on defense. So it didn't matter. Brock's amazing. Has a great high school career, goes on to college, has an amazing career at the University of Montana, which obviously I went to school. So it is say who all day long for us. And Brock has an amazing career in the NFL, gets an opportunity, and that's all it takes, right? Just like in real estate, all you need is an opportunity. And I just wanted to bring him on because when we reconnected and really got into doing life together again, he was telling me about this concept of visualization. Well, we'd heard enough about it through the Tony Robbins in the world, and people are talking about it, but his detail and his exercise and his process that he went through, I was just like, people need to know about this. So I asked Brock months ago, his schedule didn't allow it, and we were finally able to get it on the books to have, not necessarily chasing him in an airport or anything along those lines. So we have a very, very, very special guest with Brock. And what was fascinating was, and I'm going to let Brock get into it, was the first time he got sort of introduced to visualization wasn't with the Seattle Seahawks. So please give them a little bit of background on that, please.
Great, absolutely. Well, first of all, Jeff, happy to be here with you.
Thank you.
We definitely been talking about this for a while, and happy to be here with all of you and really just apply and just try and help in the things I've learned in my football career, my football life, frankly. But getting right into it, how to visualize. In my background with visualization, it really came from ski racing. Right. So I grew up ski racing right here in Bozeman, Big Sky, Montana. And ski racing, for those who aren't familiar with it, it's on the Winter Olympics, but you'll pick any ski run and they'll set a course. And at a young age, about 8 years old, our coaches would teach us. We'd start at the very top of the race. We go about a fourth of the way down the course and we'd stop. And the coach would say, all right, let's visualize from the start to where we are at currently on this course, and every turn, every lane switch, whatever it is. And so we did. So I learned how to do that. I closed my eyes and really visualized myself. Okay, start gate, racer ready, 3, 2, 1, go. And we would do that throughout the whole course. So that really was when I was first introduced to the power.
8 years old.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
8 years
8
old.
years old.
That's right. And then that kind of grew. I took that and my lessons from ski racing. My last year as a ski racer was my freshman year of high school. And I really continued to apply that to sports. And I would just continue to see the results from it. I think when I would really visualize and I'd really be intentional with, okay, if I want to be better at a tackle or things of that nature in football, I would see positive results. And then I would say I took that next step into more of learning how to master how to visualize was when I was with the Seattle Seahawks, specifically working with Dr. Michael Gervais.
And let me stop you there real quick.
Yeah.
So if you guys have never thought of visualization, if you're like, what in the world are we actually talking about? We actually kind of Googled it, right? Like this is what Brock's gone through. So I'm just going to read a couple things. What is visualization? So number one, it activates your creative subconscious, which will start generating creative ideas to achieve your goal. Okay, makes sense. Number two, this is what I love. It programs your brain. It programs your brain to perceive and recognize the resources you will need to achieve your dreams more readily. Thirdly, it activates the law of attraction, thereby drawing into your life the people, resources, and circumstances you will need to achieve your goals. And it builds your internal motivation to take the necessary actions to achieve your dreams. So you are manifesting, if you will, exactly what you are trying to accomplish. So bring us back to the first time you go, and obviously I know a little bit of the story and it's super fascinating. But tell them about, you're sitting in the room, you're an undrafted free agent, you're a rookie, and it's just, holy cow, I need every resource in the world to fulfill this dream of making the roster, having an impact right away. So start us there, please.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the NFL is such a perfect example of, you have to find every single edge to be successful. I knew being undrafted out of Montana to the Seattle Seahawks, who had just won the Super Bowl that year prior, that I would need to try and get every edge I could to be successful. And when I worked with Dr. Michael Gervais, which please follow him on Instagram, he's fantastic. He really helped me separate or give myself that edge in my preparation. So he really taught me, which we'll get into.
Yes.
He really taught me how to master the ways and the purpose and the intention on how to visualize. And I really just have continued to build that in my life. And so excited to share that with everybody and kind of going through the steps and what I did. It's awesome.
Well, I hope you guys caught that, the intention. I loved what you just said there. So you have to be intentional about what you want. And that is fantastic. All right, so let's give it to them. Let's just jump right into it. So walk us through, give us the breakdown. What's the first thing we should be focusing on?
Absolutely. So I think the first thing when you want to visualize a moment is you need to make it real. You need to make it real. And how do we do that? I think is using our senses, using our sense of smell, sight, things like that. So visualize these moments. Visualize using those senses. So for example, for me, when I was in the National Football League, I would visualize myself in the locker room, the smell of it. I visualize looking down at my cleats and tying my cleats up, right? Putting my pads on. I visualize running out into CenturyLink Field and smelling the air, feeling the energy of the stadium. When you do that, it makes it real, you know? And I think that was really, when Dr. Gervais told me about that, it really helped me give myself the best chance to capitalize on that moment, right? I'm visualizing this, let's make it real, let's make it as much of a reality in my mind as possible. So say that was the big thing in that step, make it real, is using those five senses, you know, and also, you know, making it real, reality versus fantasy, make it whatever you're thinking about, make sure it's real, make sure you can make it a reality. Make sure it's something that you know you're going to encounter, and that's a huge, huge part.
Which is very different from just having a dream, right? You know, because in the visualization side of it, you're projecting yourself in that moment. So when you actually get to that moment, you're like, I've already been here. This is not new territory for me. So what I liken it to is, guys, from a business application, this is your opportunity to sit there and say, okay, here's my listing appointment. Everything to, you know, the husband and wife or the seller sitting across the table from you, what their reaction is, their body language, their smile, what are they wearing, where are we, the coffee table, all the things, so that when you do get to that moment, you're thinking, I've already been here before. Then a buyer presentation, okay, here's what we're going to encounter. We're going to go to this house and we're going to walk in and here's the reaction. So I love every finite detail in that. So awesome. I love making it real so that when you finally do get there, you guys have done it before. So, all right, number two.
Yeah, so be intentional with your moment. I think being able to identify the specific outcome that you're wanting. So if it's a moment, for me, if it's a tackle, if it was, you know, a specific play, if it was a specific opponent,
right.
I really wanted to visualize, again, making it real. And then what is the outcome that I'm wanting out of this moment, and visualize executing that very well. I think practicing consistency is huge. And when you do that, then when you come to that moment, you'll master it, you know? And I think the big thing for me was being intentional with the moment, so I can put myself in this very position. I can practice this through visualizing. And then when I'm in that moment, my subconscious, I've seen this before, I'm confident, and I operate, right? You just go into that mode where you just operate, you're in flow state. but being intentional with your practice is very important, because I think that is going to help set you up for when that very moment or something like that comes across, you're ready.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's a big one.
It's one of our fundamental things. And guys, if you remember, there's 5 things we need to do every day in real estate. One is most certainly prospecting. Number 2, in no particular order, is education component. There's a marketing component. There's showing property component and writing contracts. Well, the education is some things that sometimes gets pushed down the field because you're like, I'm too busy. But making that a priority from the education standpoint is probably very, very key. So that's where you get in the consistency side of it. So showing up every single day, practicing your craft to then push you to a point where you're thinking, hey, this is exactly what I'm looking to do, and this is where we got to go. So awesome. Thank you. Being intentional within your moment. All right, what's number 3?
So this one, I think, is probably one of the most important ones, if not the most important. That's when you're in that moment, when you're visualizing that moment, make sure it's at your best.
Yes.
Make sure you are performing, you're checking all the boxes, you're in flow state, you're achieving things at your highest level. Because if you do that in your visualization, you will certainly do that in that moment that you need to execute. One of the things and the sayings that I love to think about is PPA, power of positive attitude. When you approach that and you approach a moment with, hey, regardless of the circumstance, I'm gonna approach this with some PPA.
There you go.
And you will perform your best. You just will. It's proven. I know with the Seahawks and with the Niners, I mean, we would want to be performing at our best. We want to be positive. We want to be enjoying the moment. That also helps us become present in the moment. I think is huge. So really emphasizing when you visualize, be positive, for which, positive thinking equals positive actions, which equals positive results.
Absolutely.
So let's be positive, PPA. So remember that for sure.
I love that. And I go back to, the affirmations thing. Can it be any more awkward? The answer is no. You're sitting there staring at a mirror, for crying out loud. And I can speak to this. Just last week, I was staring at the mirror and I was saying one thing to myself 1,000 times over. You are an appointment setting machine. You are an appointment setting machine. You're an appointment setting machine. And that day, guys, I arguably had the best appointment setting day ever in my career. And so, guys, having that positive thinking, those positive actions, seeing yourself succeed by being positive, showing up, being in your perfect state. That is awesome. Power of positive attitude. Love it. All right, lastly.
So last one, I think, this is the important part, is executing. So making it a reality. When you're in that moment, when you're faced with that, when it was for me, okay, prepping all week, and then comes game day. I need to go into game day trusting my preparation, right? When we trust our preparation, we trust the time we put in. It removes all doubt. It removes any sort of noise, clutter in our mind. We're ready, we're present, we're ready to perform. So I think that's big. Performing with confidence, right? Performing with that PPA. I think that's huge, because when you go into the moment knowing that you're prepared, knowing that I'm going to tell myself right now, I'm going to be positive in this moment because I'm confident, I'm feeling good, I prepared, whatever comes at me, I'm going to deal with it and I'm going to execute that moment because I'm ready, is huge. Being present is huge. And I think that was a big thing that Michael Gervais helped with, is when we can just take a moment, take a deep breath, we can really take notice of our surroundings in that moment. It helps you be present. And when you're present, you're in flow state, and flow state is activating. I mean, when you flow state, that's when you're operating, everything's working, you're clicking on all cylinders. And so that's where really, whatever it is, which, you'll touch on in business, whenever that kind of game day moment is for you to execute, going in there with confidence, going in there trusting your preparation, and going in there with the intention of being present, then you'll own that moment for sure.
Well, I mean, the only thing I can think of is game day, right? So like you said, the preparation is the separation, right? Isn't that what you sort of say? So this is game day. Competence equals confidence. right? So you've practiced, you've made it a reality in your head. This is what's going to happen. You know the steps in the preparation that you have to accomplish, and you have to do every single day. This isn't just when you want to show up kind of thing. This was an everyday deal. So competence equals confidence. You have that confidence just to be like, you know what? I've practiced, I'm prepared, I'm ready to rock and roll with this. And I'm ready to have this manifestation, this visualization of what I've done to finally become an absolute reality for my business, for my family, for my spouse, or whatever the case may be. So the flow state, let's activate, guys, our darn flow state, because Todd, write that down. That needs to be a bracelet for us. Get to flow state kind of a deal. So what else? What else you got?
I mean, really, I think, yeah, the big thing is look, really find the time in your day. If something's important to you, if an outcome that you desire is important, find time. If it's, having your cup of coffee in the morning, you want to take, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, close your eyes and put yourself in that moment. If you have a big closing, or, again, for me, for sports, if it was a game, if it was a practice, things like that, try to find the time to do it and use those steps, making it real, be intentional with it. Visualize your best performance. And then when you come into that moment, be ready. But really, I would just encourage people to find time in your day, right? Especially, I know with business, you feel like you have a million different things going on, but what's important is closing. What's important is executing those moments and finding time for yourself to prepare to execute for those moments is everything. So I just really say, find that time, practice it, make it as real as possible in your mind. And then when you're present in those moments, you'll see the results. You'll see what you visualize come to fruition.
Yeah.
So
that is awesome. This is one of the quotes that we came up with. Through visualization techniques, you'll be able to boost your confidence, motivate yourself, and decrease the stress and anxiety. No one has anxiety. You may feel as you face new challenges head on. Guys, I hope you got something out of this. I hope you start eating. Maybe you've done a visualization thing before, but I mean, guys, we're getting information from somebody who is at the top. Dr. Gervais is phenomenal, and we're gonna create our little outline. We're gonna make it a little one-pager so you guys have something to take back, almost like a handout. So if you weren't taking notes, we're gonna get that information off to you. But I was so impressed when Brock and I, when he shared with me some of these different things years ago. I mean, he told me, he goes, hey, if it's important enough to you, you'll book it, right? You'll schedule it. So putting time into your day, making it part of your daily routine, whatever the case may be, put it into your calendar, live by it, treat this as an appointment, because this is part of your education process. This is part of your growth. And if this helps you in your business, if this helps increase your production, or more importantly, it gives you the life that you actually want, like, guys, that's pretty darn important. So anything else for the team, Brock?
I mean, I think, guys, just what I said is, look, the separation between you and the competition, you and anyone else, you and between, where you're at in your life and where you want to get to, the separation's in the preparation. That's just, I mean, hard work pays off. There's no science to it. If you work hard, you'll see results. So that's how I would just share is put the time in, make sure you set aside time to visualize your performance, and go get it.
I love it. Visualize your victory, guys. Absolutely visualize your victory. So thanks so much for being here, listening to one of my closest friends. Hopefully you got something out of there. Todd, back to you.